Here we are, and we're live. Welcome to Live with Lighthouse, the show where we're sharing our expertise and bringing Buffalo's tech community together. I'm your host, Joe Ray, and really excited to be back with the episode today at the end of June, rolling into July, and we have a really great schedule coming up for the summer. So thanks to everyone who's tuned into some of the early episodes of the show, and we're excited to bring you some really great guests coming up soon. We're going to have Brianna Hodge from our recruiting team at Lighthouse Technology Services. We've got Kendra Brim from K Savannah Consulting in Buffalo that's going to talk about integrating DEI into your company culture. We're going to have Elizabeth Venari coming on from Odoo, and they've been on a massive hiring spree in Buffalo, bringing tech talent to town. Really looking forward to some of the conversations that we're going to be bringing to LinkedIn in the coming weeks here. And today I'm really excited to introduce, it's our first live episode with a Lighthouse team member, and very excited to bring Claire Stroh onto the show. So let's introduce Claire right there. There we are. Claire, thanks for joining us today. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, morning, Joe. This is fun. We did the
Yeah.
test, and now I'm back for an actual episode.
So Claire was very generous to be my guest the first time we were testing out the live streaming platform, and now here we are, official Live with Lighthouse guest Claire Stroh. Claire, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do at Lighthouse.
Yes, definitely. So my role at Lighthouse is 4 pieces. That's how I like to summarize it: technology, tools, team, and process. So we do obviously IT recruiting and IT managed services here at Lighthouse. And so the tools is really everything that our team uses to engage with our candidates, all of our technology kind of that we need on the recruiting side to make that happen. The tools, I just said tools. Oh, goodness. Okay. So tools, technology, process. So how we engage with our candidates, get our applications, reach out to people, just that whole kind of interviewing process, how we engage with our clients as well, make sure we're meeting their needs through to getting that offer accepted, getting folks onboarded, all those types of things. And then, of course, our awesome team. So I get to work with our technology talent managers, so otherwise known as our recruiters, our tech recruiters, and our HR specialists that helps all of our folks, get through the process and get settled on their new assignments, which is just so exciting. And then, just me in general. Been in HR and recruiting for about 10 years here in Buffalo, and I just love being really engaged with the local tech and HR community. So currently on the board of BNHRA, our local human resource professional affiliation group. And then, you'll obviously see me around Seneca One at the Women in Tech events and all the other things we have going on here. So it's a lot of fun. I like it.
Yeah, you're so involved in the community here, and on a larger scale too. You just got back from SHRM National Conference in Las Vegas for a week, and representing Lighthouse on the big stage. So we're appreciative for all you do there, and all that's to come as well. And shout out to the Lighthouse Technology Talent Team too. That's a big part of our work to pair businesses with the right technology talent at the right time, and it's a lot of people making that happen every day. Everything from sourcing candidates to arranging interviews to onboarding and getting people to day one. It's a big process. So kudos to you and the team there. Really excited to get into our conversation today, winning tactics to find the right technology talent, because it's a complicated market. Low unemployment, people are, increasingly looking for more things like remote work and flexible benefits and things like that. So businesses, the hiring process and, what they're hiring for and what they're offering definitely looks different than it did a couple of years ago. And it's an always changing equation. So really excited to dig into our conversation here. And if you want to start us off, Claire, maybe if you want to go into some of the, not necessarily problems, but maybe just common issues that we're seeing come up with hiring technology talent today and some things businesses are facing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind with this is prioritization. So we know that's an issue really for all of us in our really busy jobs and lives in general. We recently published our guide to hiring timelines. So our CEO, Randy Harris, took the lead on that. So definitely check that out. But prioritizing is tough for a lot of our clients and hiring managers. They know they have a need, they open the job, and not much planning sometimes goes into the process before they launch that open position. So the Guide to Hiring Timelines talks a lot about the importance of like that prep and planning stage. So understanding like just who you need in the interview process, how many rounds, are they even available, or are they on PTO the next couple of weeks? What exactly are those must-haves versus nice-to-haves? All those things. So once you do post that job and start getting folks into the pipeline, you're like ready to take action and everyone can stay engaged in the process. So that is a big, issue and struggle that we see. So we do love to help our managers and clients prioritize that process because, again, we're here to talk about those winning tactics to find the right talent. And if you get someone really good into your pipeline and then don't review their resume within a few days, it's pretty discouraging. They're more likely to move on and consider, other opportunities. So, to win that talent, you definitely have to be organized, prioritize, be ready to move quickly and confidently. And we love to help our managers, devise that plan and be able to do that. So we're always here to help with that. And then just like the timing of things is something we see a lot too. So just the need to be flexible if you can. So for example, if you have projects coming up, do your best to open, the positions that you're going to need for that project in, within kind of like 1 to 3 months in advance. Typically we see for like our direct hire roles, it can take up to a few months. For contract roles, usually a month is the process to kind of get somebody from that application all the way to like starting. So just kind of understand what your needs are, how long it might take. And also if you find somebody who's really awesome, if one of your awesome recruitment partners like Lighthouse or your friend or your neighbor or somebody who just sends you a referral, or just someone that's kind of like proactive or not for a specific role and they're awesome, think how you can still get them into your organization. So is there another project they can work on, for a month or so until the need that you have for another project is going to be coming available. So just if you can, think creatively, because again, those winning tactics, a lot of it is timing. You mentioned, what we're here to do, Joe, just finding the right, technology talent, connecting them with businesses at the right time. It's a lot about timing, finding those right people, trying to put those puzzle pieces together. See how you can just be flexible to get the best, folks for you in the door.
Yeah, that's a great overview. That timing is everything. And it's such a complex equation because there's so much planning that goes into the process at the start too. And then as you go through hiring, as you're having some interviews, obviously there might be some changes in the process, just depending on what's available in the talent market. What comes up, maybe have some interviews and say, hey, these are the types of people we're talking to. Maybe we need something a little bit different too. So there's a lot of flexibility in there. It's a complex equation. Maybe we can dig in a little bit on that planning phase at the start. And something you mentioned in there too is kind of making sure who needs to be in the interview process and being able to like identify those stakeholders at the start is so important, right? Because once you get into the process, you're going to have a couple different interviews. But it's really important, right, to identify those people off the bat because technology roles are so integrated into different parts of the business and different people need to have input on the roles. Maybe just dig in a little bit there on kind of that planning process before you start hiring.
Yeah, that's a good point. So we love to ask questions in our intake meeting with our hiring manager when we're kicking off the recruitment process for a new role about like who this role is going to be interacting with in the business. So that can help us get some recommendations or give some recommendations if they're not already sure who they want involved in the process. But for a contract role, we try to keep it 2 people, maybe 3, obviously kick it off with the hiring manager. We always recommend doing that first as a first round to make sure both sides feel that connection and are interested in proceeding with the next step before we spend too many other, team members' time in the interview process. So sometimes it is just the hiring manager, depending on the level of the role. If it's an individual contributor, they're only really working with that person or with other peers. Great. Sometimes, again, like you said, depending on the level, if it's a project manager or someone who's going to be going out into the business to do reviews on applications or things like that, sometimes we do recommend, looping in those other folks. But just to your point on the planning, we unfortunately have seen a lot lately. The hiring manager interview takes place sometimes that second round it's a great fit. They want to move forward, but that last person who just has to meet them before the offer is extended is out of the office for the next 2 weeks. And that really is a bummer. We've lost a few good candidates lately in the process to other positions because of that. So yeah, do that planning ahead of time. I love to work with my managers too on empowering them to make good decisions.
Yeah,
so if you're
absolutely.
afraid to make that decision, let's dig into that. Having 3 more people on the schedule to give their opinions isn't always the right answer.
Yeah.
So sometimes we can help you craft better interview questions or really dig into like, what do you still need to know from this person to like feel really confident about making your decision. So yeah, it's a combination of kind of all those things, but we love to help you figure that out up front so we don't get to that stage where you're like, oh, I think this person would really want to meet with them too, but they're out and now we're going to lose this candidate. So yeah, just planning ahead on the team who really needs to meet with them. And then, yeah, we like to help you feel really good that you're making a decision. So if we can help you, coach you, get you any tools with how to confidently and quickly go through that process, we love to do that.
Yeah, and that's really a dance and a negotiation between the timing side too. Of obviously you want to take the time, make sure the team feels really confident that you're bringing in someone who's going to be a great addition to the team, who technically has the skills needed. You want to take that time, but at the same time, you also want to move fast, recognizing that technology professionals who are on the market, they're looking to move quick. They're looking to find their next best opportunity quickly. It's really a negotiation there to try and find the right timing.
Yep. Definitely. And communication is really the key, right, to
Yes.
everything. So, yeah, I would say no word is obviously worse than an update. So, let us know if that third meeting has to happen and the person's out for 2 weeks, let us know as soon as you can, because we need to communicate that to the candidate, see what their timeline is. Like you said, kind of negotiate both sides. Then just be trying to keep them engaged, saying, "Oh, we haven't heard back yet, but we're hoping to." It can impact our clients' brands and reputation. We obviously do our best to keep those candidates engaged in the process. But yeah, it's tough sometimes to be able to say, "Oh, the process has changed. It's now extended a couple weeks. There's now an extra interview, in the process we weren't anticipating." So. Yeah, just think of it kind of from your perspective as well. If you were going through the process, you would love to know up front how many rounds, what it's going to take, what the urgency is to get this role filled, when the project's starting, all those things. And it's easier for you to feel better about taking that next step if that company and who you're meeting with is organized and on top of things. So it really does make a
Absolutely.
difference for both sides.
Yeah. That hiring experience is such a big part of the brand, and we talk about that at Lighthouse as well too. That we really want to focus on following the golden rule and treating others the way we want to be treated, and that goes into our hiring process too. Every step of the way, every interaction, we're hoping that we're leaving people inspired and feeling positive about next steps and things like that. So we really put a lot of emphasis on that as well,
Yeah.
and we're here to kind of guide that conversation as well. You talked a little
Yeah.
bit in there too, Claire, about just kind of the flexibility and some of the communication that might have to happen through the hiring process. Obviously, there's going to be things that come up, and finding the right technology talent is dependent on what's available in the market now. So, for example, maybe there's a role that you're looking for that you want to be hybrid, 3 days a week in the office, have that collaboration, but in your local market, you might not be finding exactly the technical skills that you need.
Hmm.
What does that conversation look like for hiring teams and trying to figure out that negotiation of, okay, where can we be a little bit flexible to make sure that we do bring in the right technology talent that we need?
Yeah. Oh, I love this because this is really part of the intake meeting too. So again, really before the role gets posted and we start like sourcing and screening for you, we have that conversation on what those must-haves and nice-to-haves are. So if the must-haves are this pay rate, this tech skills, and on-site or hybrid, we like to have that conversation up front of like, here's what we're seeing. All we fill are technology positions. So likely we've seen something similar recently. And, this one piece, has been difficult to find. So sometimes, the best managers are kind of open right up front because if they know, again, they need somebody within the next month to keep, projects and budgets and deadlines on track, not to mention the engagement of their current team, having an
Mhm.
opening and overworking your current team, being short somebody, can cause a lot of damage too. So sometimes
Oh,
it's
yeah.
awesome when our managers right up front can be like, okay, let's widen it to this, or this is one requirement we can turn into a preferred or something. Obviously, the wider we can make the pool to get a good slate of candidates in right away to get those interviews started is the best. But certainly, we work with our clients, on what they need. So if there are those hard requirements, we'll obviously go and do that, but we'll report back, within a week, or two, and let them know this is what we're finding. Are you willing to give on this, or would you rather wait until we do get somebody, who's interested that has all these items? So sometimes, we've seen clients that are willing to wait months until someone, is interested in coming on site. And other times it's been great to see our managers say, again, we need to keep this project moving. We have someone skilled who's remote. And again, it's just about communications and expectations. So you can say to that person, this role in the long term is hybrid, or if it's going to be, a contract to hire or something like that, the hire, what comes with the hire is the requirement to be on site. Sometimes it's just communicating that. Sometimes those remote folks are willing to move in the future. And if they're not, they at least know that you're going to be telling them once you do have someone that you're going to fill the role with on site, and you'll let them know that their, contract is going to be ending when that happens, with some notice is of course the best. So yeah, it's just that communication. So yeah, it's great if you can still get somebody in. We're just using remote, versus hybrid as an example here, but depending on how important it is to get that workload and stuff rolling, you might want to be, again, flexible on one of those requirements, get someone in, and then just set those expectations that, whatever, if you do find somebody on site, or hybrid, that's the direction you're going to go. So yeah, do you want to get someone in or just wait? It's really all about like what fits best for your business. And I use the term interested a lot there, if you noticed, versus available. Because that's another thing we hear from our managers is with that timing and stuff, like, aren't these people available? Well, we do have people available, but they're not always interested in your particular opportunity. They don't want to be hybrid, or they don't want to lead this size team or the type of project, they're looking to do something a little bit different. So again, we go out and pique that interest and things like that. But I like to use that word interested, because sometimes we hear from our clients, well, there have to be people that are available. And there are, but it depends, again, if that interest level is there as well. They want to be included in the process. So depending on those requirements, help us determine who we can, get interested and get into the interviews with you.
Yeah. And actually, Claire, if I can spin a little bit here, what you said there about interested and available, that goes the other way too, that when you have an open role, you might be going through and seeing who's available on the job market. There might be people who would be interested in your role, but they might not necessarily be indicating that they're available because they're not actively applying to the job. They're not, marking themselves as open to work on LinkedIn. Maybe we could go a little bit into something hiring teams can do in order to, attract inbound attention and, bring attention to their company brand, keep people interested in their roles when they come, and build those relationships. Because that networking aspect is important too, that when you need the right technology talent, sometimes it's easier to be visible and keep people in mind and keep your company top of mind with technology professionals.
Definitely. Yeah, I love that you bring that up, because a lot of what we do at Lighthouse, obviously our team loves to go to events. We love to meet people. We love to make connections. We love to be at undergrounds in the morning at Seneca One. And we've built a lot of relationships through all those activities. And you're right, having our networks expanded and referrals and just like knowing folks helps a lot with that timing and flexibility piece. So when something does come open, we're like, oh, I just talked to somebody about this. Like, I'll ask them if they're interested. If not, they might know somebody. It's just such a different dynamic than a role comes open and you do the posting or send the cold message on LinkedIn, trying to match, that one-to-one up. If you're growing your network, and this goes for hiring managers too, it is not just the recruiter's job to recruit. So what I mean by that, obviously it's not our manager's job to be connecting on LinkedIn or sending those messages or whatnot. We know you have really busy roles to do in that technical space. But what I mean by that is, again, that kind of networking and relationship building. So you made me think of Al Watson in particular, who works for M&T. Like, I want to go work for Al just from what I see on his LinkedIn content. So he takes the time obviously he's a technology manager with a lot of responsibilities, team members, technical deliverables, but he spends that time to engage in his community. So I know he's really focused on professional development because I see him posting about his new certifications and the classes and things that he's going to, and then his involvement with the company, with company events and things like that. I've seen him post about or participate in. So yeah, things like that help generate interest with your team, like you as a manager who kind of resonates with you, and then with the company as a whole, generating more of that interest and creating that community. Yeah, again, can definitely help if something comes open and maybe someone who didn't like have you in mind before now might consider a move a little bit sooner because they know, who you are. You've really piqued their interest. So it definitely goes both ways. I love what you said there.
Love it. Shout out Al Watson. Good job being a lighthouse and shining a light and putting yourself out there and being visible and attracting people who might be interested in your team. So love to see all that stuff. Claire, I think that's actually a good way to segue into, big thing I wanted to have you on and talk about today is you recently gave a great presentation with Buffalo Niagara HR Association and Tech Buffalo, busting recruiting myths and really digging into a lot of that. So part of what you talked about in there was what we just covered. So thank you for sharing that about how hiring managers can be visible in their community and attract the talent they're looking for. What are some of the other kind of points that you hit there in that talk, and really curious to dig into some recruiting myths hiring managers might be prone to, and kind of how can we help them?
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up. That event was so much fun. Anyone watching this, if you're not already following our LinkedIn company page, signed up, for Tech Buffalo, Be in Buffalo emails. All three of us are always posting about awesome events and networking and learning opportunities. And yeah, that event was a lot of fun. It was the end of May, and it was, collaboration between Tech Buffalo, Be in Buffalo, and the Buffalo Niagara Human Resource Association. So busting myths in recruiting. The few things that I talked about there, the first were job posting. So I talked again about like the requirements versus preferred. We try to keep, if you go look at our Lighthouse job board right now, we try to keep our job postings just to requirements. I personally don't like listing another section that has preferred. We try not to do that just because we're trying to make our postings more inclusive, again, generate that interest, not have someone self-select out before we've even had an opportunity, to see their information, maybe set up a call with them and learn a little bit more. So putting in those preferences can sometimes discourage folks. So we like to focus just on those requirements, kind of top 3 requirements that we're hearing from our clients that they're looking for. And then obviously as we're talking to our candidates, we talk to everybody, on video before they get introduced to our client. We'll talk about obviously some of those other items and their experience outside of the requirements. And if there are some of those preferred skills, we'll of course highlight that and whatnot. But we don't want to discourage anybody from not applying because they don't have preferred skills. So anyways, try to keep it to requirements if you can. Education's another big one. I'm super proud of the Buffalo tech community. I'm seeing a lot more flexibility on education requirements. I was in recruiting and HR for manufacturing companies for most of my career, and education was always a requirement. And it was really tough to make the ecosystem more inclusive, provide more opportunities to those that do have a bright future in the field. There's a lot of tech roles now, software engineering and things like that, where we're not seeing a required bachelor's degree anymore, which is wonderful because there are so many other internship opportunities, boot camps, training classes, Coursera, right? LinkedIn Learning, everything out there where people can still collaborate on projects and get good experience. Again, don't get education. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say shout out to all those groups in Buffalo and all their communities nationwide too, who are offering those types of those avenues to ongoing education. Groups like BCAT in Buffalo and some, CompTIA education for people who want to reskill into tech, M&T Tech Academy, Tech Buffalo. I mean, so many people. It's just incredible to see that there's so many avenues outside of just a 4-year college degree now that are creating the talent that way and making it easier for employers to say, okay, we're open to this because there's this much talent coming in through these types of avenues.
Yeah, it's incredible. So similar to the requirements, don't put your education on your posting if it's not required. Bachelor's preferred, just leave it off. Again, we don't want to discourage folks. I love using postings. Job postings in the end really are a recruitment marketing tool. So use it as a way to generate that interest, get more people expressing their interest to you. And then you can always go through, the applications, right? And something might catch your eye that you wouldn't typically, have considered before. So it's more, more beneficial to keep that posting as short and sweet as you can, to get more people into the pool. And then just what makes the role exciting is just the last thing I kind of mentioned in that talk about the posting. So can you put a few sentence blurb in there about what the project is going to be about, the size of the team, maybe just the manager's role or something like that? Again, looking to pique that interest. Again, this goes both ways. So the candidate also needs to feel, that they're interested in the job. And a lot of the people that we talk to, they aren't just interested in the technical aspects of the role or the project. That is a big piece, but they also want to know, again, the size of the team. What are they going to learn? What's the manager like? What are those dynamics? Is it remote, hybrid, et cetera? So putting some of that in your posting can excite people to see themselves in that situation and encourage them to apply, if they resonate with those details. So we focus a lot on job postings, and along those lines about keeping your postings, inclusive and considering folks that, maybe hadn't traditionally before. Those communication skills and soft skills go such a long way too. So we have gotten feedback from some of our hiring managers and our clients recently that they've interviewed good candidates on the technical side, but they can't see that person being part of the team because of the lack of excitement or communication or, just preparedness for the interview, asking thoughtful questions. So those are all, I don't want to say basic things. I know we have some other blogs on our site about prepping for your virtual interview and things like that, but they really are good housekeeping items where if you're, technology pro looking for that next position, bring some of those other aspects to your interview. And so people can really get to know you. And again, both sides can evaluate if it's a good fit or not. So anyways, just widening that pool, getting more applicants. You might speak to somebody that doesn't hit all those requirements, but they are excited. They know your company. They've done the research and they're available now. So it might be better to get them in and train on that one technical skill that they're missing than leave the role sitting open for 3 months while you wait for someone that hits all the technical skills. Again, it's up to you, but we just love working with our managers. Again, to be consultative. Is that a word? Consult
Absolutely,
with you, consultative with you all and help you be creative and flexible. Which direction do you want to go? If we're not seeing those results, how are we going to pivot and things like that? So again, just the planning in the process, the communication, just really ensures that success.
Yeah. And so many points, Claire, thank you so much for that. So many points here that we're talking about really just comes down to communication and building trusted partnerships throughout everybody who's involved in that hiring process, right? So if it's been a while, buy a coffee for your internal TA and your hiring team and everybody in HR that makes all this happen. Get to know your recruiting partners, get to meet them out in the community, things like that. You mentioned Underground's Coffee. You can always find Lighthouse there if you're in Seneca 1. Really just great ways to highlight the fact that it takes a village to really make sure that you get the right technology people for your team. And those relationships go a long way.
Yeah. And your recruiter wants to help you. Let me mention that too, for any managers out there. So if you're new to LinkedIn or you want to spread the word with your network, you're not sure how to do it, we will help you craft that post, craft that message. It helps us as well. And we love for our managers to get out there in the community and pique that interest. At the end of the day, folks need to resonate with you if they're going to work for you. It's our job, of course, spread the word and screen those folks and do those things that recruiting and HR pros know how to do. But we love to help our managers, as well, be really engaged and active in the process. And they enjoy it once they get the hang of it. It's fun. They see the benefits of it. So try something new if you haven't yet.
Making things happen and helping people. So thank you so much. Let's bring this home, Claire. Thank you so much for joining the show today. Wanted to give you a chance in our wrap-up segment here. I always like asking our guests, just in the spirit of be a lighthouse, one of our core values, to share someone who's helped them learn something new lately, someone who's been a lighthouse for you. Want to open up the floor to highlight someone who's helped you lately.
Yes, and you're incredible, Joe. Thanks for hosting this show. It's awesome. Glad to
Thank
be
you.
here. Yeah, who's been a lighthouse for me lately is Colin Gale. So he's our president of the Buffalo Niagara Human Resource Association. I'm a member of the board, and Colin's just a great leader in the HR community. He works for Say Yes Buffalo, so they do a lot as well with training, upskilling, other kind of work readiness related programs. So if I can give it away, I think we're going to be having him on the show soon.
You're leading the bus right there. Yeah,
Okay. All
absolutely.
right. Perfect. So yeah,
Colin's going to be our guest next week, and he's going to tell us all about that professional development program that he's been
awesome.
working on at Say Yes Buffalo. Incredible organization, and talking about all those partners in a community like Buffalo that help provide the education and help people connect with careers. Really excited for that discussion next week. So looking forward to
Yeah,
it.
Colin is definitely a lighthouse for me in the HR community. But then, yes, you both will dig into all the other ways outside of the HR community that he and the organization are contributing as well. So it'll be a good one. I'm
Yeah.
excited.
Yeah. Thanks to everyone who tuned in live today. The comments are open, so keep the conversation going. And make sure to come back next week, Friday at 9:30 as well, for our chat with Colin Gale from Say Yes Buffalo. Claire, thanks so much for coming on the show today. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Joe.
Have a good one, everybody. Thank you.